When I was editing, I wrote down Dad Printer Ink. He asked me if I could find him an ink cartridge for his old printer. I found one online and sent it to the house. I don't know how to write about it at this point. When we were sitting in the coffee shop today, I thought of Nora, and I wanted to explain to her that the sadness that I felt, I wish that she didn't have to see that. I wish that I could shield her from it. I feel some pressure, I suppose, to find a way of looking at the world with some kind of beauty, with hope, to get that angle back. I've lost track of it for the past while. To find a way to readjust my ability to be grateful, to be present in some way, to calm down. I kept talking to Miriam about my writing, and I tried to explain to her that what was most important about releasing the writing as I did was the recovery from them, to see how it felt to release them, and to feel how it felt, what I regret, what I remain proud of, what I wanted to do next. All of that information came to me after I released something, not before. I thought about the last writing that I posted. It didn't seem like something a dad would post. It showed too much weakness. I tried to explain to her my ideas about perfectionism and imperfectionism. I don't know if she understood what I was talking about. And so, again, I seem to be defending what I'm doing, but the YouTube format of reading what I've written, of using YouTube as both a sketchbook of sorts and as a way of sharing what I've been working on, has been a way to go for me. Trust that my intuition understands what to do, and that it's picking things up as it goes along, to understand what I can about myself in this way, to work through things. The more that I've been going along with all of this, the less concerned I am with the narcissism or the self-indulgence of it. I'll have to be ridiculed. I'll have to be made fun of. I'll have to not be taken seriously. People will have to think what I do is garbage. People will have to think that what I do is boring. I can accept that. I think that with each week that passes, with each video, I come a bit closer to it. That has been the point of a lot of this. That has been the result. To really let go of what people think. I have to trust that I've been developing these skills each year instead of this prevalent attitude that I've been so riddled in failure. I thought about wanting to continue to write, about how it felt to post on the internet, how I wanted to clarify somehow that my guess is that many people feel the weight of it. The egomania and the megalomania was something so many of us did not know how to deal with. How I wondered in what ways I could write something that I felt compelled to neglect the ideas of what I think people want me to, and instead make the thing that I would want to see. It seems very easy to make things that you love, to make things that you want to see, but in fact it is extremely difficult. There have been times where I've thought that there was some kind of love at the center of all of us, but I feel like I've lost sight of that. It may have been during those times that I had to believe that people were good. I felt so alone in the world that I had to force that perspective in order to survive. During my meditation, I felt Miriam's hand on my shoulder. Eventually, I fell asleep. When I woke up, I looked out the window and saw snow blustering everywhere. In all likelihood, this would be the last snowfall of the season. My natural state, I think, what is most ordinary, is the anxiety that sits there, that none of these thoughts or any of this effort will amount to anything. But what? I continue to beat my head against the wall, but what do I even aspire for it to amount to? The answer is dubious. One of the flaws in my process is that I seem to want to know the result of my efforts before I put them in. To write for me is a matter of wandering and experimenting, of looking under a strange rock and finding there's something odd about the potato bug in the dirt. I'm reminded somehow of the opening of a book that I was trying to write but never finished. That book might as well be this one, as all of this writing is one long tangent away from that opening. I imagined a version of myself walking through the mud in the woods near a cliffside. I became lost in trying to reconcile the character's point of view, the fictional version of myself and my actual self. This all came from the character standing in the mud looking at a tree, the character knowing that they had never cut down a tree before. He has his axe and swings it repeatedly until the tree breaks and falls over. It then falls down the cliffside and he looks at it and reconciles that the tree is idiotic, hence the title. I don't know if there's any meaning or further interpretation to make from that. I felt a certain amount of resentment towards myself for coming up with the image and how mundane and absurd it is, but also I resented myself and how for some reason I thought that the image was true and that I became fixated on it. The idiot tree. The way those words looked together, how the phrase felt, how I couldn't assign its meaning or purpose. It sat there in my thoughts. I tried to ignore it. I spent Miriam's entire pregnancy trying to let it go and to move on to something else, but it stayed. That corner of the world that I'd imagined probably about a year ago, it seemed like I would have to go back there, to go to that imagined place and figure out a way to stop obsessing over the image. I seem to have found the spark of something as I sit here, listening to this music in my headphones, the cold wind pushing that tree around as it always does. You dumb tree, you overgrown stick. I can only imagine the days you've lived, the ants that have crawled up upon you. I can only imagine what you've seen, looking out through the eyes of those ants as they scatter around the neighbor's backyard, through the grass and along the driveway into the street. Those little ants whose eyes you see from as they travel across the world onto boats and planes, crossing the great oceans to the rocket ships and away to a planet no one knows. And meanwhile, I'm here, watching the clouds, somehow feeling uplifted, some sense of joy. As the streetlights are turned on, they're blurred and I can see how tired I am, having done whatever I did today. The second bookcase that we bought for Nora that I didn't get around to writing about. How Miriam rearranged the living room. How we got into some kind of fight about whatever it was. I can't even be bothered to write about it. We talked it over, and it softened how we were. When we walked through the grocery store buying stuff, some treats that were on sale, an apple soda, a pizza, some chicken thing that we'll eat tomorrow. I forget what else.